Welcome back to the show. Well, of all the qualities we like to instill in our kids, confidence and resilience are probably two of the hardest, but also the most important.
Well, joining us now with some tips is parenting expert and author Michael Gross. Good morning to you, Michael. Important time to be doing this. Many kids are on school holidays at the moment. It's a tough thing for a parent to balance those two aspects, I reckon.
Yeah, it has been over the last, I think, 2 decades. There's almost a shift between, in some ways, under-parenting. Now we've moved into, in some ways, over-parenting. So it's
and over-protecting.
Yeah, very much so. One of the biggest issues facing Australian children right now is the notion of anxiety, quite an anxious, fearful group. In some ways, mums and dads are very anxious and overprotective as well. So sometimes over-anxious parents beget over-anxious kids. So getting that balance right is really tricky.
Well, you say in the book that one of the main aims of parenting is to make yourself redundant. That's a difficult concept to get your head around, because as a parent, it's about being there, it's about guiding, it's about nurturing.
Look, there's a lot of messages out there which actually says be involved with your kids. And yes, we do have to be involved, but we don't have to be over-involved. Always, as a parent of any age or of any era, your job is always to make yourself redundant, and that means to actually develop self-sufficiency in your kids. So I have this notion, right now in Australia, about 50% of Australian families are micro-families. That's small families, and when you've got a small family, it's very much an individual endeavour. My notion is raise your small family with a big family mindset. So when you've got a big family mindset, what you're trying to do is make yourself redundant and teaching your kids the skills to get by.
All right, so you say in the book that if you do allow your child to be on their own, or at least allow them to sort themselves through situations and to navigate through situations and problems, because that ultimately empowers them. But that's very difficult for a parent to relinquish that, because you know that you can very quickly sort out a mess when you've got 3 kids fighting each other like cats and dogs. It's hard to do to actually relinquish that control, because you know that you can sort it out so quickly. So what do you do on a practical level?
We've actually got to give kids, and you've hit on an interesting one, sibling fighting is a really difficult one. We just want to go in there and stop this fighting. But we're looking at a lot of other issues which kids face on a daily basis. What kids experience on a daily basis actually contributes to their resilience. So sometimes as mums and dads, we've just got to step back a little bit. Step back and give kids opportunities to resolve some of their own issues themselves. They may be relationship issues at school. They may be not being picked for the team. It may be there's a teacher I don't really get along with. There's a big propensity at the moment for to interfere and not kids an opportunity to resolve some of their issues themselves. If you want your kids to be resourceful, you need to put them in positions where they can develop their resources themselves. So sometimes, for all the right reasons, we jump in and overprotect.
How do you tell the difference, though? How do you know when you should be stepping in and when you shouldn't?
Now, that's a really good question. What happens when we're parents of small families is we're very apt to sort of move in with our firstborn. If you have 5 or 6, then you actually start to get that wisdom and you realise what's important and what's not. I think you've got to step back to a little bit, see if your kids aren't coping. You've got to give your kids an opportunity to sweat a little bit, to deal with some of the issues themselves, if you know they're not coping, and that's knowing your kids.
So does that
in many ways, that's knowing your kids, and you're realising, gee, I've actually got to go in here and actually to sort some of this stuff out.
Does that apply to things like all those firsts, like the first time they walk to school on their own, the first time they catch public transport on their own?
And that's really tricky for parents in this day and age. I find that a lot of mums and dads, they say, I want my child to be responsible, I want them to be independent, and we start often too late. So yeah, they're the tricky situations. With our firstborn, what often happens is we do that. We're very strict, and we'll often do it sort of later in life with the firstborn. As we move through our family, if you have more kids, often you'll give those kids greater freedom in a lot of earlier age. So nothing wrong with that. My notion for parents is actually look for opportunities to develop your independence in kids. If you want your kids to walk to school and it's a kilometre and a half away, maybe you actually park your car 200 metres down the road and then actually pick them up and then let them walk the 200 metres. So that notion of independence never happens in one jump. It happens in small doses. It's actually creating junior versions of a game, just like sports associations develop junior versions of cricket and junior versions of football. You develop junior versions which actually enable kids to develop a little bit of independence, and then you move the boundaries out.
Yeah, it's good.
Just finally, you've got a list of tips which we'll put up on the screen in the moment, but I'm most fascinated by the last one. No should be heard routinely. Why is no such an important word?
One of the things I think we've got to regain a little bit of power as parents. we went through a notion in the 1990s where we don't say no to kids. And that's silly, that's rubbish. We've actually got to set boundaries. Kids like boundaries, and we get very busy, and in this day and age it's okay to actually say no. A lot of parents feel uncomfortable with that. And my notion is don't be your child's best friend, be their parent.
Okay. Michael Gross, fascinating stuff. We all need a helping hand from time to time as parents.
Yeah, and to give them also the freedom so that they can achieve some level of independence. It's a great ongoing battle in our household.
And that is the issue, and it is an ongoing battle, and it's parenting is not a sprint. It's actually a marathon, and it takes a long time to actually grow a child.
Good on you, Michael. Thank you for that.
Thanks,
Interesting
Michael.
stuff.
Thank you.
Well, Thriving by Michael Gross is published by Random House, and it's available at all good and even some bad bookstores, I've heard.
You can get it in bad ones as well.
Thanks.